Now let's continue our tour of the Dead Sea area and look at the famous city of Jericho. It has many amazing sites of interest to see in and around it that we will show you as well. Now Tel Jericho, also known in Arabic as Tell Es-Sultan, is in the Jordan Valley about 8 miles or 13 kilometers north of the Dead Sea and about 15 miles or 24 kilometers east of Jerusalem. It's situated at 900 feet or 275 meters below sea level, making it the lowest large city in the world. Jericho claims also to be the oldest city in the world that has been continuously inhabited. Its name means City of Palms. It was located on the crossroads of 2 main travel routes, one of which was the Jericho Road on which the story of the Good Samaritan took place. In fact, the site called the Good Samaritan marks this site. It's about halfway between Jericho and Jerusalem. Jericho also has a gorgeous climate with year-round sun and lots of warmth. Now Tel Jericho is the fortified city that the Israelites first conquered when they entered the Promised Land. It's where Rahab, the prostitute, hid the Israelite spies who came to check things out and then take news back to Joshua. She converted and believed in the true and living God and was saved along with all her family. Joshua and the Israelite army marched around the walls 7 days, and on the last day blew their horns and shouted, and the walls miraculously came tumbling down. Interestingly, they fell outwards, which allowed the Israelites to climb up them like a ramp and conquer the city. Today, evidence of Jericho's walls and all that took place can be clearly seen. Jericho was a double-walled city, and then it would have people living between the walls. So can you see this wall here that goes around? That was one of the exterior walls. Then they had another one out in this area. Then the people lived in between the walls. Remember that Rahab lived in the walls. That was very common in those days. So the walls were very high. They were double-walled. The lower part would be of stone, and then on top of that would be mud bricks going up. So the exterior wall, the stone was about 15 feet or so, and then on top of that would be higher, and it would be brick on the upper part, and then the same on the inside. So you have 2 rows of stone walls, and then on top of the stone walls, mud brick that would go up. One of the interesting things that we can see this in the archaeology here, these walls, there's evidence, we'll step over a little bit farther up here in a moment, but there's evidence then of the walls falling outwards. It can be proven in the archaeology, so it's very, very unique. Now the Bible says that Joshua burned the city of Jericho with fire, and amazingly, a burned layer can be found all throughout the Tell that proves that this event actually took place. So we'll just all get up here, kind of get cozy if you can. Can you spot the ash layer? Can you see the dark right over there? You see the white area? Then right above it you see black. That's the ash layer from the destruction. The location of Rahab's house is believed to have been found here because there's a place on the backside of the Tell that is less destroyed than the rest of the walls. Now this right here is the area that's the most preserved wall on this side of the Tell, which would be the eastern side of the Tell. And it's believed here that it's very, very likely that this is where Rahab lived, right in here, and that this is the area that God supernaturally preserved so that they could escape. And then of course they joined into the Israelite faith, and she's in the lineage of Christ. Absolutely amazing. So here just to think that were in the vicinity or in the place where Rahab lived. The great prophet Elisha healed the water source of Jericho as found in 2 Kings 2. And there is a spring here today that marks this amazing miracle and event. Well, here we are at a spring that Elisha healed. The Bible says that Elisha healed the water of Jericho, so it was drinkable. So we are going to drink water right out of the spring that Elisha healed. That is good water. The miracle of a blind man healed by Jesus occurred in Jericho, as found in Luke 18. And who can forget Zacchaeus the tax collector, who was from Jericho? He's the short fellow who climbed a sycamore tree to see Jesus. Later, Jesus ate in his home, and he became a devoted follower of Christ. Now let's look at some additional sites in and around Jericho. There is the Mount of Temptation Monastery right above Tel Jericho, which is the believed place the devil took Jesus to tempt him. It sits on the side of a cliff overlooking Jericho and has a beautiful view of the Jordan Valley. Recently, we took a trip up there and had a wonderful experience with some of the locals. The monastery was closed, so we were the only foreigners up there. A number of large Arabic families were really interested in us, and we had a great time answering their questions and hanging out with them. They were extremely friendly, and upon departing, called us family.
My name is Mace. My name is Tamar. My name is Dunya.
The access to the Mount of Temptation is right beside Tel Jericho, and the way you get up to the Mount of Temptation and back is via cable cars. It's a fun and special experience. Not far from Tel Jericho is the Zacchaeus tree. It is a very old sycamore tree that is claimed to be in the area where Zacchaeus climbed up to see Jesus as he was passing by. Today it's in a park and receives many visitors. On the outskirts of Jericho is Herod's palace. It was a large winter palace where Herod the Great resided on occasion. It was also the place where he would die and later be buried at the Herodian fortress nearby Bethlehem. The last place we'll see by Jericho is one of the most spectacular sights in all Israel. It's St. George's Monastery. It's located in Wadi Kelt and is a hanging monastery on the side of a cliff that claims to be where the cave of Elijah, the great prophet, is. It is still in operation today and is worth the hike down if you have the time. It was located on the Jericho Road that linked Jericho and Jerusalem together.